All right, this is the final review in Algebra 2. I'm going to go over every problem on the review, and of course the final is similar to the review. First thing we have right here is a piecewise function. Find f of -2. So we got to look at over here first. -2 is not less than -2. It does not go in that piece. -2 is greater than or equal to -2, so it goes in this piece. So I put -2 in for x right here. -2 minus 3 is -5. -5 is my answer. Let's try a different value, like f of, let's say 1. What's f of 1? Well, I got to see, is 1 less than -2? No. Is 1 greater than or equal to -2? Yes, it goes in this one. So 1 minus 3 would be -2. What about f of -5? What would that be? So -5 is less than -2? Yes, it goes in this piece. So the opposite of -5 would be 5, plus 8 would be 13. All right, so that's how you do these piecewise functions. All right, number 2. Find the domain and range of each part. So let's look at this part 1 right here. Okay, the domain is left and right. It's your x's. Range is up and down. It's your y's. All right, so on my domain, left and right, this piece goes from -2 to +2. So it goes from -2 to +2. But now, see how this is colored in? It's included, so I put a bracket there. See how this is not colored in? It gets a parentheses. So there's my domain. Now my range is up and down. The furthest down it goes is -3. The furthest up it goes to 5. Okay, but at -3, see how it's colored in right there? So we put us a bracket there on -3. But this is not colored in at 5, so I'll put a parentheses. So there's the domain and range of the first part. The second part, this one here, I'll do it in red. Okay, so on this part right here now. Okay, the domain is left and right. So the furthest to the left it goes is 2. The furthest to the right it goes is 5. So it goes from 2 to 5. Now look here, this is colored in. It's included, so I put a bracket. This is also colored in, so it gets a bracket. So there's my domain for that part. My range is up and down. So the furthest down it goes is 1. The furthest up it goes is 4. It goes from 1 to 4. And this is colored in, so it's included at 1. And this is colored in, so it's included at 4. And there's my domain and range for that part too. Okay. Number 3. Find the domain and range here. Okay. Domain is left and right. So what's the furthest to the left that this goes? Well, as it goes up and up and up, see how it goes up forever? It's going to the left forever, so it goes to -infinity. What's the furthest to the right it goes? Well, as it goes up on this side, it goes up forever. See the arrow? And as it goes up forever, it's going to the right. So it goes to the right forever. So there's my domain. Now my range is up and down. The furthest down it goes is right here at -4. And it does include it. We consider that including -4, so I put a bracket. The furthest up it goes, well, it goes up forever to +infinity. So there's my domain and range. Okay, now on this one, same thing on the domain. As this thing goes down, it goes down forever. Well, it's going to the left forever. So it goes from -infinity to +infinity. It goes to -infinity, it goes to +infinity. But my range up and down, the furthest down it goes, well, it goes to -infinity. But the furthest up it goes, it only goes right here to 4. And we do include that, so I put a bracket. Okay, so there's my domain and range. All right, what about the domain and range here? Okay. Well, my domain, the furthest to the left it goes to -infinity. That's my domain. The furthest to the right it goes, right here it goes to 4. And we do include that, so there's my domain. My range, up and down, well, this thing goes down as this goes to the left, it's going down forever. And as it goes to the left up this way, it goes up forever. So -infinity to +infinity is what my range would be. Okay, so your domain and range is always the lowest and the highest, the lowest and the highest, or furthest to the left, furthest to the right, the furthest down, the furthest up. Same thing here, find the domain and range. Well, as this thing goes to the left here, it's going down to the left forever. So negative infinity, it goes to the left forever, and it goes to the right forever, because as it goes down, it's going to the right. So there's my domain. My range, the furthest down it goes down forever, but it goes up to 4, and we do include it. Okay. Number 6, describe how the graph of the equation relates to the graph of y equals x squared. Okay, so we have some transformations. So it looks like here we got x squared and I got this minus 7. That's something that's added to it. So remember, in the parentheses here, it's going to go left and right, but it does the opposite of this. So that means it's going to go to the right 7. And then this negative right here is going to reflect it over the x-axis. So the parabola normally goes like this. Because of that negative out front here, it's going to reverse it. It's going to flip this thing, and it's going to make it go down like that. So it's going to reflect over the x-axis. So it moves 7 to the right, so it goes to the right 7 units, and it reflects over the x-axis. When you have a negative out front, like that right there, it's going to reflect over the x-axis. Describe what's happening here. Okay, all we've got here is this minus 2 and this minus 3. All right, this minus 2 in here is going to go left or right. And since it's minus 2, that means it's going to go to the right 2. It does the opposite. So it's going to go to the right 2, which means it's got to be one of these two. But this minus 3, that's your up and down. And it does exactly what it says. So since it says minus 3, it's going to go down 3. So we're looking at right here, B. B is what our answer is. Okay, number 8. Graph this function. Okay, first thing I see is this negative out front, which means it's going to go down like all 4 of these are. So they're all going down because of that negative. And then right here, inside here is going to go left or right. Well, since it says plus 5, it's going to go to the left, to the negative 5 side. And then this is going to go up 4. So I'm going to go to the left 5, and I'm going to go up 4, which looks like right here. See, it goes to the left 5, and it goes up 4. So there's my answer right there. Number 9, use the vertex form to write this equation. Okay, so my vertex right there is 1, negative 4. All right, so when I write this out, it's going to be y equals, here's the equation in standard form, but we want to write it in vertex form. So since the vertex is 1, it's going to be x minus 1 squared, and then I'm going to have minus 4, and that'll be it right there. So I'm going to the right 1, which means to be x minus 1, which kind of is the opposite of the positive 1. And then it's going down 4, so minus 4. To find the equation of this one, well, here's my vertex right here. It's 3, negative 2. So this is going to be, now this is an absolute value, so it's going to be an absolute value bars, x minus 3. Since it goes to the positive 3 side, it's x minus 3. And then it goes down 2, so we have minus 2 there. So here's what it would look like. All right. Solve this equation. All right, here's my equals. And I've got x's on both sides, so I'm going to minus 5x on both sides. That makes this go away. And now I have 2x plus 19 equals negative 9 over here. All right, so I got rid of the 5x's, got all the x's over there on that left side. Now this plus 19, I need to minus 19 to get rid of it. And so 19 minus 19, that'll go away. So I have 2x over here. And over here, this is negative 28. And so now I'll do is divide by 2, and x equals negative 14. And there's my answer. X is negative 14. Now you could plug it in. 7 times negative 14 is negative 98 plus 19, negative 79, I think. If I put negative 14 in there, 5 times negative 14 is negative 70, minus 9 is negative 79. And then I get the same thing on both sides, so that tells me I'm right. Okay, number 12. Simplify this. Okay, right here we got a power of powers. So like, I need to separate this up. So I got negative 6 to the 4th power. I got x to the 3rd to the 4th power. I'm about to sneeze. And I got y to the 4th power. All these inside here in the parentheses are to the 4th power. Okay? Now, negative 6 to the 4th power, I thought I was about to sneeze, but I think I've held it up. So if I put in parentheses, negative 6 in parentheses, and I put to the 4th power, that comes up 1296. Right here, I've got a power of a power, which means I multiply those. So that's going to be x to the 3 times 4, which is 12. And right here, this is y to the 1, so I multiply those. That's going to be y to the 4. 1 times 4 is 4. There's my top. Okay, now on the bottom, okay, I got multiply here, and I got 12 times 4, which is 48. Then I got x squared times x squared. When I multiply like that, I just add these up. So that's going to be x to the 4 power. And then I got y to the 3rd times y to the 4, so I add those up. That's going to be y to the 7. Okay. Now I can divide. So once I get the parentheses and everything all gone and get all these combined together, now I can divide. So 1296 divided by 48 is 27. So I got 27 on top. Now if it comes out to be a fraction, just make a fraction and you know, leave yourself a bottom. Right here, when I divide those, I subtract those. So 12 minus 4, that's x to the 8 power. And then when I divide those, I subtract them. So 4 minus 7 is negative 3, which means it's going to go down the bottom as a positive 3. And so that would be my answer there. And like I said, when I divide these right here, if I get a fraction, like suppose I had 27 over 2, then the 2 would be down here in the bottom with that. But this is good to go here. Okay, simplify this expression. Okay, we're subtracting. When you have subtract, the best thing to do is distribute that minus into this expression here and change it to plus. So I'm going to change this to plus. And we'll make this negative. This is negative, so we'll make it positive. This is negative, we'll make it positive. And so now I add these terms. It's best to do that, because if you don't, you're going to make a mistake, sure enough. So I add my like terms. So this term and this term goes together. So 3 plus negative 2 would be 1x squared. And then I got this guy and this guy. Those go together. So negative 2 plus positive 5 would be a plus 3x. And then this one and this one, they go together because they're no x's. So a positive 1 plus a positive 7 is a positive 8. And there's my answer right there. All right, so that's number 13. Number 14, we want to multiply these. Now the best thing to do is build you a box to multiply underneath this expression here. I got a column for the 3x squared, I got a column for the 5x, I got a column for the negative 4. And then on the side here, I'm going to put 2x plus 1. And there you go, I got 6 products here. All right, so if I do this one here, 3x squared times 2x. So 3 times 2 is 6, and that's going to be x to the 3rd. 5x times 2x, that's going to be 10x squared. And then negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. And there's the top row. Now down here in 3x squared times 1 is 3x squared. 5x times 1 is 5x. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And so there you go, there's all my products. Now I've got to add the like terms. So if I look here, these two guys are x squareds, they go together. These two guys are x terms, they go together. So what I have is I got 6x to the 3rd. 10 plus 3 would be 13x squared. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3x, and then I got minus 4. So there's my answer right there. Okay. Factor this one completely. Number 15. Factor completely. Now when I look through here, they all have an x So that means I can factor x out. And if I look at my numbers, 6 and 21 and 9, all those are divisible by 3. So I could pull a 3 and an x out of this expression. So I want to divide that out. So if I divide 6 divided by 3 would be 2. If I have an x to the third, I divide an x out. That's going to knock it down to x squared. Okay. Now, negative 21 divided by 3 is negative 7. I've got an x squared. I'm dividing x out, so it knocks it down to x. And I got 9 divided by 3, which is 3. And I got an x. I'm dividing it out, so I don't have any x term left. So that's it. Okay, now this thing here factors, I believe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 2 here times my 3, which is 6. 6 divided by 1 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then 3 is next. It's already over here. So here's the different ways to multiply and get 6. Now, in my problem here, I got a plus here, which means I'm going to add these together, and I got to get 7. Which ones add and get 7? Well, 1 and 6. Okay, so it means I got the 3x out front, and I'm going to have an x with a 1, x with a 6. Okay, so the 1 and 6 come in here. This sign goes to the bigger number, so that's going to be a minus here. This last sign being a plus means both of these are the same, so this is going to be a minus also. And then because of this 2 in front, I got to put a 2 underneath both of these. I got to divide both of them by 2. Okay, now I can't have fractions, so I got to fix these fractions. So like I got the 3x out front. This x minus 1/2, 1/2 does not simplify, so I'll just take the 2 and put it in front of the x here. And there's that one. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3, so this just simplifies x minus 3. And there you go. There's my answer for that. Okay, number 16, determine the number of turning points. A turning point is when the graph is going up, and all of a sudden it turns and starts going back down. And this is a turning point right here. Looks like there's one there. Looks like there's one there. Looks like there's one there, so that's 3. Okay. So suppose I had something that looks like this. How many turning points does that one have? I just made this up. There's one, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's 5 of them. Okay? Those are turning points. Remember now, if you have a graph that does something like this, okay, there's no turning point there. It starts to turn like it's going to turn back down, but then it turns the direction and keeps going up. So there's no turning points on that. Find the zeros of this. So if I find the zeros right here, x plus 4, that means negative 4. X equals negative 4 is a 0. X minus 3, that means x equals positive 3. See, 3 minus 3 is 0. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So there's my zeros right here. Now these have multiplicity. This has multiplicity of 3. This one has multiplicity of 2, which is helpful in graphing it. Here's some in graphing. Find the zeros of this. All right, here, x equals 0 is 0. Right here, we just did this. This would be x equals positive 3. And right here on this one, x equals positive 2. So here's my zeros, 0, 3, and 2. And look here, I've only got one of that says those. Right here, 0, 3, and 2. If you look at the graph, here's 0, here's 3, and here's 2. So see how it crosses the axis at those 3 points? There's my zeros. Number 20, given the following 2 points, find the slope. All right, here's the slope formula. This is the slope formula right here. This means the y in point 2, well here's point 1, and here's point 2. The y in point 2 is negative 3, so to find my slope, I'm going to do negative 3 minus, see the minus right there? And then I'm going to do the y in point 1, which right here is 6. Now down here, I got the x in point 2. In point 2 here, the x is 7, minus the x in point 1 over here, which is 5. Okay, then I just do this subtraction. So negative 3 minus 6 would be negative 9. 7 minus 5 would be 2. And then I simplify it, which I won't simplify, so there's my slope. Okay, number 21, we actually just did one kind of like this a while ago. We're dividing here, so like right here, when I divide those, the m's, I just subtract exponents. So 9 minus 5 would be 4, that's going to be m4. And right here, 6 minus 4 is 2, that's going to be n2. And so there's my answer. Now let's look at this now. Suppose I had m9, and let's reverse these. So this is still going to be m4. Okay, but right here when I do 4 minus 6, I get -2, which means it flips to the bottom and turns into a positive. There's the difference there, see. Basically, there's 6 down here. There's 2 more down in the bottom than there is at the top, so that's why it ends up in the bottom. All right, number 22, simplify this. All right, first thing I see, since there's a negative in this radical, that's going to send out an I. This is imaginary. So there's what we have now. That sends out an I. Didn't make a very good I. Now what I got to do is break these down. So like I'm going to divide by 2. So 192 divided by 2 is 96. Circle the 2. 96 divided by 2 is 48. Circle the 2. 48 divided by 2 is 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So there's all my numbers broke down. Now, pairs pull out. So like here's a pair of 2's. That's going to send a 2 out of the radical. Here's another pair. That's going to send another 2 out of the radical. Well, here's another pair. That's going to send a third 2 out of the radical. But this guy right here doesn't have any partners. He's stuck in the radical. So he has to stay. So I've got 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. I've got the I out front. And then this radical 3 doesn't simplify, it doesn't pull out, so we still have it. And there's my answer right there. All right, speaking of imaginaries, here's some addition of complex numbers. So like this is real and this is real, so I add them together. -5 plus -3 is -8. And then these two here are imaginary. -7 plus +4 will be -3i. And there you go, there's my answer. Okay, right here we got to subtract. All right, now like we talked earlier, we want to distribute that subtract into this problem and change this to add. So this 7 becomes a -7, and we'll mark this out, that becomes a -6i. And so now I add. So 4 plus -7 is -3. -5i plus -6i is -11i. And there you go. All right, here we're multiplying them. All right, so like we did before, on multiplying, we'll set up a box. There's a column for the 5, a column for the 3i, and then I'll take 6 minus 4i, put it over here to the side. So I've got 4 products. Right here, 5 times 6 is 30. Right here, 6 times 3i is 18i. Down here, -4i times 5 is -20i. And then this last one, I've got -4i times 3i. Well, -4 times 3 is -12. I times I is I squared. Okay, well, I squared is -1. So -12 times -1 is a +12. Okay, this is a +12. So now these two go together. 30 plus 12 is 42. If I add these right here, 18i plus -20i is -2i. And so there's my answer right there. Okay. On this one, identify the vertex and the y-intercept. Okay, so like right here, this is in standard form. So what I'm going to have to do is, I've got this x equals -b over 2a. This tells me the axis of symmetry. All right, so I'm going to do x equals -b over 2a. What I mean by axis of symmetry, this is going to make a parabola. The axis of symmetry is right down the center of it, which is where the vertex is. So this tells me the x value of the vertex. So -b, my b is 4, so I'm going to put me a 4 right here. And my a is 2, so I'm going to put me a 2 right there. So I have negative 4 divided by 2 times 2, which is 4. That comes out to be a negative 1. So in my vertex, negative 1 is my x value. Now what's the y value? Well, I put negative 1 in the function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type this in the calculator. 2 and then negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 minus 11. I'm going to type this in the calculator from this equation right here. Just put negative 1 in. So when I do this, it's going to be 2, negative 13. And there's my solution right there. That's my vertex. Okay, now this one's a little easier because this is in vertex form. So remember, I'm the opposite of this, which is negative 3, and I'm a negative 4. There's my vertex. Okay, we forgot the y-intercept. Let's go back. Go back to this one, the y-intercept. The y-intercept is when x equals 0. So I put 0 in for x. Well, if I put 0 in there, 0 squared is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0. These are just zeros. I just got negative 11. So the y-intercept is negative 11. Or you might have 0, negative 11. Put it as coordinates. So back to this one here, we already found the vertex. Now what's the y-intercept? All right, the y-intercept is when x equals 0. And if I put 0 in there, I've got 0 plus 3 squared minus 4. 0 plus 3 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 4 is 5. There's my y-intercept. Or 0, 5. Okay. This says use the vertex form to write the equation of the parabola. All right, my vertex is right there, which is 3, negative 6. Okay, which means it's going to be x minus 3, because it's the opposite of this, squared, and then minus 6. And that's how you do it. All right, now we got to solve this, number 29. We're going to use the quadratic formula here. Here's the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is the quadratic formula. So all I do is I take my numbers and put them in. So like right here, this first number, that's my a. Right there, positive 13 is b, negative 7 is my c. You got to pay attention to the signs. So I'm just going to put those numbers in for a, b, and c on this. But I'm going to write it over now, so that means I'm going to go x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, now my numbers go in there, so like a is 2 that goes here and here. B is 13, it goes in this spot and this spot. And then c is negative 7, it goes in there. Okay. Now, once I do that, there's 3 things to do at one time. Right here, negative 13. Okay, x equals 2 times 2 is 4. There's 2 of the things. Now, in this radical, I need to punch that in. So, 13 squared. Probably need to put these in parentheses. I didn't put them in parentheses. 13 squared minus 4. And then I got a 2 in parentheses. And I got a negative 7 in parentheses. That's a 225. Then I got this. So that's the square root of 225. So now I do the square root of that answer. And I get 15. So that's a 15. All right. Now once I have these 3 numbers, I do both answers. Negative 13 plus 15 is 2, and 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. There's one answer. Negative 13 minus 15 is negative 28. Negative 28 divided by 4 is negative 14, and there's the other answer. And so there's my 2 solutions. And usually we have 2 solutions on these every time. All right, so here's another one here. We're going to solve this one. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, so my a is 1. So here, that's a 1. That's my a. There's my b right there, 8. So it goes here and here. There's my c, -3. Okay, now there's 1, 2, 3 things I do at one time now, just like we did the previous problem. So that's going to be a -8 there. 2 times 1 is 2 down here. And my radical, I punch this in again like I did a while ago. 8 in parentheses squared minus 4, and then I got a 1 in parentheses, and I got a -3 in parentheses, and that comes out to 76. Okay, the square root of 76, which doesn't simplify. I mean, it does. It's not a perfect square. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to break down my 76, which 2 goes into that 38 times.
NHS have arrived now. If you can come down to the concession area, your treat from the NHS.
So 19. So what I have here is I got a pair of 2's that sends a 2 out of the radical, and this 19 is stuck in the radical. So this is going to be -8 plus or minus 2 radical 19 over 2. And then all 3 of these divide by 2, so I can divide them down. So -8 divided by 2 is -4. 2 divided by 2 would be a 1. Radical 19. 2 divided by 2 would be a 1, so I don't even have to have the bottom. And there's my answer right there. Okay. All right, number 31, determine if these functions are inverses of each other. All right, so determine if they're inverses. What I got to do is I got to do f of g of x. And if I get x, then they're inverses. But if I get anything else besides just x, then they're not inverses. So what I do is I'm going to take this g function and I'm going to put it in for x right there. So it's going to look like this. I got 3/4 times x minus 8. 3/4 times x minus 8. There's this. And then right there where x is, I'm going to put 4/3 x plus 6. Okay? And now I simplify this down. So right here I distribute this into this expression here. So I do 3/4 times 4/3. Well, the 3's will cancel and the 4's will cancel, so that's just the x. So that looks good. But now I got to do 3/4 times 6. So when I punch this in a calculator, 3/4 times 6, I get 9 over 2. Okay, and then minus 8. Well, those two go together, so hopefully that'll knock out 9 over 2 minus 8. That's going to be -7 over 2. And look here, that's what I get when I simplify, and I don't get just x. This is a big fat no. They're not inverses. I've got to get just x. When I do this right here, I should get just x. This right here should have been an 8. If this was 8, then 8 minus 8 would have canceled, and it would have been just x. But it wasn't an 8, so Number 32 here, which function is, or which relation is a function? Or if you look at this first one, all right, right here, look. Here's 4 paired up with 2, and here's 4 paired up with -5. We can't do that on a function. In a function, each x is paired with only one y. And here's 4 with 2 different y's, so it's not a function. So this one's out. What about this one here? Is it a function? Oh, look here, 3 paired up with 2 different values. That's not a function. What about this one here? I think this one here looks good. What about this bottom one? Oh, no, look here, 7. 7 has 2 different values. That's not a function. C is the one that's a function, because each x has only one y associated to it. Okay, we're almost done here. Number 33, determine the domain and range of this graph. We've already done a couple like this, but as this thing goes down on the left, it goes to the left forever. As it goes down the right, it goes to the right forever. So my domain, -infinity to +infinity. Now my range is up and down. The furthest down it goes, well, it goes down forever. That's -infinity. But the furthest up it goes up here to 9. And we do include that. So there's my domain and my range. Okay, and then last one here, number 34. Find the values of f of negative 2 and g of negative 4 if f of x is this and g of x is that. Okay, so I'm going to do f of negative 2, so I'm going to put negative 2 here in for x. I got negative 4 times x minus 2, and then right there where x is, I'm going to put negative 2 in. And then I just punch this in the calculator, which 8 minus 2, I get 6. So there's f of negative 2. What about g of negative 4? So here's g. I'm going to put negative 4 in that one. So g of negative 4, 3 times negative 4 squared minus 18 times negative 4. And I just put that in the calculator, which is going to give me 16. That'd be 48 plus 72. And that's going to be, what is that, 120? There you go. That's what I get. Now you can just punch it in all at one time. Look here, I'll punch it in on the calculator for you. So I've got 3 and in parentheses negative 4 squared minus 18 and in parentheses negative 4. 120, I was right. Good deal. Anyway, that's our review. So you focus on this review. Try to make sure you understand everything, and hopefully you'll do good on this final. So contact me if you need any help. All right. Have a good rest of the day.